The first morning, everyone told the same story. A red door stood at the end of a salt-bright hallway. A spiral stair went down. Somewhere, a radio played a song no one remembered learning. People laughed at the coincidence until they realized the lyrics matched. By lunch, strangers in elevators were finishing one another's sentences. By dusk, it had a name: the common dream. It wasn't a broadcast, but a place. You slept and arrived under a sky that behaved like cloth. If enough people wished it, the red door appeared with a small sigh. Bridges formed out of humming. Streets bent toward crowds. The dream had rules, and slowly better rules. Mira, a bookbinder by day, began to map what could be mapped. Each morning she opened a tin ledger and noted where the stairwell surfaced, whether the lake accepted stones, whether the lighthouse kept a steady beam. Customers brought coffee and drew. Here, a stall that sold words by weight. Here, a garden of keys. Here, a gate someone closed because it opened onto someone else's grief. Work appeared to match the night. There were anchors, even breathed people who held scenes steady. Lifeguards learned to wake the panicking gently. Diplomats of Lucidity negotiated etiquette. No following past a safe house door. No public trials of private hurt. No contracts without a waking signature. Therapists kept hours in the plaza of quiet conversations, where benches arranged in circles. Someone tried advertising. A company floated logos over the lake. The community agreed to imagine them as soap bubbles and blinked twice to pop them. After that, brands waited politely outside the gate. Nightmares, once private weather, now sometimes crossed the square. The Night of the Wolves began with one memory and ended with a city running. Afterward, the diplomats proposed a ritual, a lull, an hour before sleep when neighborhoods hummed together to tune the dream toward gentler ground. Optional, most slept better when the world began softly. Science tried to measure the unmeasurable. Labs filled with crowns of sensors, papers spoke of phase locking and coherence. Morning news added a forecast. Themes likely, odds of stairs, chance of storms. Never perfect, but often right enough that you carried a metaphorical umbrella. The tenderest discovery was that the dead could visit, not as ghosts, but as memories strong enough to borrow the stage. You could not summon anyone. You met what the many carried. Mira's father owned a radio she never fixed. In the dream, she found a tower that hummed like the radio, and sometimes, rarely, never by demand, she heard the static. She built a lighthouse there, and strangers added lamps, a teacher's chalk, a chef's ladle, a child's marble. Law followed slowly, and then all at once. Courts ruled that harm in the common dream counted in waking life only with consent to the rules of play. A new witness class appeared. Rememberers trained to retain detail without embroidery. Schools taught dream civics, respect the gate, anchor before you advise, wake yourself kindly if you must leave. Markets arrived and moderated themselves. Art flourished. Choruses wrote wayfinding songs that seeded safe paths. Architects sketched theaters with roofs like open eyelids. Several faiths moved a service to the Lull, saying shared gratitude made mornings kinder. Some opted out for a while, sleeping with blindfolds. Others worked night shifts in the dream. Librarians who shelved scenes that wished to be remembered. Gardeners who trimmed rumor vines. Waking life adapted. People recognized each other's nights and left more room on buses. Hard dream? A barista would ask, pouring a gentler coffee. One evening, the forecast promised high chance of red doors, low chance of stairs, and the city exhaled like familiar weather. Mira locked the shop and slept. The dream began at the lighthouse, steady. A child she didn't know placed a marble on the rail. "Will it stay?" the child asked. "Only if we all decide," Mira said. Someone began the Lull's melody, breath and tone, willing kindness. Morning filled the ledger, quiet lakes, benches turned toward one another, a market where lost names were found and returned without price. There were still wolves, and doors that opened onto two sharp rooms, and nights that asked more than you had. But the city learned an old new thing. You can be alone and still hold a place in common. You can meet in sleep and bring back better manners. By year's end, the dream felt less like a miracle and more like a square, a beach, a library you could choose not to enter, yet were always welcome to cross. People woke with the aftertaste of chorus. On sidewalks, they gave each other the slight nod of citizens who share not only streets, but also a sky that, for a few hours each night, belongs to everyone.